Let's return to the issue of the 20th anniversary of the 9/11, and on 11th of September 2001, United States witnessed the worst ever terror attacks on its soil. But the fear and anger had a ripple effect across the globe. Glued to their televisions, the world grieved along with the Americans. The attacks also revealed the capabilities of armed radical groups. On the anniversary of the gruesome attack, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson made a compelling address. He said that the 9/11 attacks failed to divide people and their beliefs in democracy and freedom. Listen to his conversation.
20 years ago, September 11th, 2001, became, in President Roosevelt's words after Pearl Harbor, a date which will live in infamy. On a crystal clear morning, terrorists attacked the United States with the simple goal of killing or maiming as many human beings as possible. And by inflicting such bloodshed in the world's greatest democracy, they tried to destroy the faith of free peoples everywhere, in the open societies which terrorists despise and which we cherish. But while the terrorists imposed their burden of grief and suffering, and while the threat persists today, we can now say, with the perspective of 20 years, that they failed to shake our belief in freedom and democracy. They failed to drive our nations apart, or to cause us to abandon our values, or to live in permanent fear.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also made a statement on the anniversary. He said that the 9/11 terrorist attack taught the world many lessons and it needs to remember them. Modi also said that only humanitarian values are a solution against terrorism.
आज 11 सितंबर यानी 9/11 है। दुनिया के इतिहास की एक ऐसी तारीख जिसने मानवता पर प्रहार के लिए भी जाना जाता है, लेकिन इसी तारीख ने पूरे विश्व को काफी कुछ सिखाया भी। आज दुनिया ये महसूस कर रही है कि 9/11 जैसी वो त्रासदी भी, जिसे भी 20 साल हुए हैं, त्रासदियों का स्थायी समाधान मानवता के उन्हीं मूल्यों से ही होगा। एक और हमें इन आतंकी घटनाओं के सबक को याद रखना होगा, तो साथ ही मानवीय मूल्यों के लिए पूरी आस्था के साथ प्रयास भी करते रहना होगा।
Well, we earlier spoke to Colonel David Roches, who is a professor at the National Defense University. He tells us how the 9/11 attacks changed America and how it shaped the Taliban crisis in Afghanistan. Listen to this part of the conversation.
9/11 had a profound impact on how people view the world. During the Cold War, every country was important. If a country left the Western orbit, it moved into the Soviet orbit. If a country left the Soviet orbit, it moved into the Western orbit. We saw one war between Ethiopia and Somalia where both switched sides, both were important. And, this led to a lot of development. India prospered under this bipolar rule. The high dam in Egypt would have never been built if it hadn't been for the Cold War. When that ended, we had this idea that history had somehow ended, that the ideological argument was solved, and the only question was how can you best conform to and prosper under the rules-based liberal world order. 9/11, and you had the phenomenon of failed states, which you hadn't seen before. What 9/11 showed was that a failed state wasn't something that could be ignored. It could be an incubator for this malignant terrorism that can reach you even in a place as distant and remote as the United States. So it forced everybody to realize that issues on the other side of the world can still affect you, and it kind of led to a new era of global engagement. The criteria, I think, for the success, for the American criteria for the success in war on terrorism isn't necessarily people killed in Afghanistan, it's people killed in the United States. So we haven't seen the recurrence of a mass terrorist incident here in the U.S. But certainly, the most dangerous military operation to undertake is a withdrawal. And that, indication where, terrorists basically planted themselves among desperate refugees or would-be refugees and used that cover of, people who were trying to seek a better life to insert themselves and, blow up innocent civilians and then an Army soldier and 13 Marines along with him. That just shows some of the threat. But I think that's more of a tactical failure than a strategic failure. I can tell you there's a vigorous debate over the wisdom and the efficacy of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And right now, the consensus is that that was a mistake and it was poorly handled.